Erling Haaland with a couple of goals. Savinho flying right now. Foden finally on target, and De Bruyne starting. Do you want to approach it all is good again for Manchester City, or do you want to approach it, hey, come on, boys, it's Leicester away and West Ham at home. Of course they should be winning these games. Your choice.
I think a little bit of both, because I think City did not look as dominant as the result may suggest.
Not in the first half, yeah.
If you just, and even at times in the second half, right? I mean, the result created, that situation where where you maybe ease off a little bit. But, look, they're not out of the woods just yet. It's a good result. Erling Haaland's back in scoring, right? I mean, you look at the first goal. I mean, we have to talk about Savinho because that's important, right? Some of the issues they've had was that Erling Haaland wasn't getting service. If you look at the goal and the cross from Savinho, that's picture perfect, right? This is the sort of goal, that kind of goal, cross and a finish header. He should be scoring 10, 15 goals a season just like that, right? And then you have this other goal, I think it was the third goal maybe, where Savinho plays him through. That's probably another, 10 goals a season for him like that. And that's been missing. Let's be clear about that. Another thing that's been missing before I go on to positive, I guess Haaland is a positive in terms of getting back and scoring back to back now. But another negative is that, they just don't look the same in transition. And that's the problem that we've seen. Even in a winning game, their legs aren't there. They're not winning that ball high up the pitch as well. The recovery is not the same as it has been in the past. And you could see that in that game. I mean, defensively still strong. Gvardiol, as much as I like him, how long has he been struggling right now? A lot of times mistakes leading to goals. Today in the first half, Mark Kudus twice in the first couple of minutes. I mean, really beating him on 2 goals. He was late, or on a goal he was late, and then there was a very late chance. I can't remember at the moment that West Ham almost scored for the second goal. He was a little bit late as well, moving positions from left back to center back. So there's some issues, but the positives are, this is a great team. If they click, and if this is a moment for Manchester City when they start clicking, players that they have will move on, will move up with that, right? They'll make a habit of it, the sort of habit that we've seen from Manchester City. And not very many teams can go on these runs of 5, 6, 7, 8. They've gone 10, 11, 12. So I'm not saying they're in that situation because I don't think it's 10, 11 straight. But they have enough quality to make this a habit once again. So it is very important, and we shouldn't just overlook this win, these wins, just because, as you said, it's Leicester City or West Ham.
Privately, behind the scenes at Manchester City, what is a realistic target for them between now and the end of the season? Is it more Champions League focused than Premier League?
I think yes. I think, Pep Guardiola, they know. I mean, they've done it so many times themselves. You have respect for others. And Pep Guardiola had this for Jurgen Klopp, the couple of times that they came close and the one time they won it. I think Pep Guardiola is a smart manager who privately or, would say, look, if Liverpool continue this, we have zero chance. And I think even if they drop some points here and there, I don't think there's a chance for Manchester City. But, you have to rebuild. And one of the major points is to stay in the Champions League, right? I mean, it's unthinkable for them not to be even in the top 5, as you've mentioned. So they'll achieve that. I have no doubt that Manchester City are going to be in the Champions League spots. And then you say, well, if we hit the form, if this is the beginning, if we're starting to click, and maybe the worst is behind us right now, can we get enough momentum to get back to our best or close to our best? Where in the Champions League, as we all know it, one-offs kind of that type of thing. Can we spring a surprise and win something in the end of the season in any of the cups?
Yeah, because looking at the Champions League, look, they're 22nd out of 24 qualifiers right now. There's 36 teams in this kind of bigger group stage. It's Paris Saint-Germain next, the last couple of weeks in January, and then it's Club Brugge at home. It's not going to happen that they don't qualify, isn't it? Because the likelihood is, even if they lose in Paris, that a win at home to Club Brugge on the final day is going to get them through. We're not going to have a situation with no Champions League interest as far as Man City are concerned going into February, are we?
And you can speculate a little bit, right? You want to get high up the tempo. You kind of have an idea of who you might play, right? I mean, I look at Liverpool. They're top of the league, doing top of the league in Premier League and Champions League in particular, right? But right now they could be playing Real Madrid or Manchester. You never know where that's going to fall, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bonus in a way. I mean, you never want to meet the top teams, but if you eliminate them, one big team out of the way, as we all know it. So I think they'll get through. PSG or Brugge. And we'll see where it leads. I mean, based on everything we've seen, by the way, you can't sit here and say that Manchester City are favorites. So we've mentioned Premier League, no chance in my opinion. But also, let's be honest. I mean, at this moment, I don't think I'd be out here saying that Manchester City are still one of the favorites to win the Champions League. Not yet. Not based on what we've seen, even today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Even although the bookies' odds have them at only 7-1, which right now offers zero value whatsoever. Let's end this one on West Ham, because I thought at times against Liverpool they were embarrassing. Players just allowing others to get by, and I think they had 7 fouls and 0 yellow cards in the whole game against Liverpool. What kind of response did Lopetegui get from his players today against Man City?
This wasn't bad, but I mean, it's the result, right? I mean, it's questions are out there about Lopetegui and he's the man. I know he's dealing with some issues, obviously with Bowen and Antonio out today. Fulkrug, I think it was a perfect setup, right? I mean, if you we've talked about ahead of this game, if you're going to play Fulkrug, you better have good service from Kudus and Somerville, and he did for the most part. I mean, they created enough. I've mentioned Kudus had a chance in the first half where he was a little bit selfish. I think there was a second or two there where he could have looked across early in the game and maybe square the ball to Fulkrug. We've seen Fulkrug did what he did when he does get the service, but he's limited in that. But you have 2 players in Kudus and Somerville who got the pace, who have got the ability of beating their defenders one-on-one, who have the ability to get to the byline and provide service. So that's good. And I think there were times today where they were good. They had that chance again that I mentioned in 9 minutes, and what happened? A minute later, in that next action, and Manchester City scores. So unfortunately, they're in the situation they can't afford these situations. Had they scored that goal, maybe there's more doubt to Manchester City. But speaking of doubt, there's certainly doubt about Lopetegui, and I still don't believe that he survives this season.
Yeah, well, it's when he may go rather than if right now. So let's take a look at some of the fixtures they've got coming up, because it's very difficult to judge a manager on games against Liverpool and Manchester City, 2 of the best teams in the league, but it's the manner of performance as well. So I don't know if the FA Cup tie is a free hit at Aston Villa. Let's focus on the Premier League games they've got coming up. So they've got a couple at home, Fulham and Crystal Palace, London derbies in there. Then they go to Villa in the Premier League, at Chelsea, home to Brentford, at Arsenal, home to Leicester. Are you looking for West Ham to win the games that they should win to keep Lopetegui in a job? Is that the kind of way it is right now?
2 games, you've said it. That's all I'm giving him. It would have been any games really, but you mentioned those are derbies, right? And it's if you lose it against anybody, his position is going to be untenable. But on top of it, if you were to lose to Fulham and Crystal Palace, those are 2 teams that you'd like to think, right, that the people in charge would say we need to be above them. Look at the way Fulham's playing. Crystal Palace, I know they're about. I mean, they're no different. I could see Crystal Palace beating West Ham, right? But if you were to lose points against Fulham and Crystal Palace, anybody would say out there, no, you need more from West Ham. They made a change for the better, they thought, right? The complaints about David Moyes and we want to play different brand of football. Are they? Are they any better than they were under David Moyes? Are they playing much better? I don't see it. Some of the players, obviously injuries, you can say that, but you're still relying. Look, I mean, Suchek, still there. He was supposed to be the one that wasn't going to be featuring as much, but he is. Vladimir Sufal, another one, right? I mean, unfortunate, I guess. It's an own goal today, but have they really moved on to with what they had? They were supposed to be better with Kilman, who's been outstanding for Wolves last season, right? English international. Wan-Bissaka, who I thought was going to be supposed to strengthen that. So if you look at all the changes and everything, it'd be hard to say that West Ham are better now under Julian Lopetegui than they were under David Moyes. So things are looking good, and I'm giving him these two derbies. I'm not even looking past that.